Many of you have seen this picture in the Blackboard announcement page, and I'm showing it again because I thought it would be interesting to see how we can connect some of what we have learned in this module and in the past modules to this picture. And so I chose this picture to share with you all in this course was because I'm engaged in a research project with the Huggins Center, and I made a connection with a Mole student group on campus. And this is a student group that they are basically trying to find opportunities where they can share some of their cultural traditions with the larger community. In making this connection with Mole, I was able to think of the Huggins Center as a possible opportunity for them to share one of their cultural traditions. The student group thought that the Calenda project would be a way for children to engage in this type of learning. We first didn't know how to begin. We first had to think of what is an activity or what are activities that these young preschool children in the Huggins Center can participate in, and then eventually participate in a culminating project. The Calenda is a festival held in Oaxaca every year. And part of this project involves, or this festival involves, children making baskets with these beautiful tissue flowers. It involves also these large puppets where families and children and community parade through the streets of Oaxaca showing this work. So we thought of the Calenda as a perfect opportunity for the students to be able to participate fully in a project where they can creatively recreate the Calenda in the Huggins Center. As a participant ethnographer in this project, I was able to observe the beginning of this project till the end. In my initial observations, I did not take any field notes. I went in and assisted the student group in thinking of activities to recreate these baskets and puppets. Secondly, I went in with an open mind. I knew that if I took out my laptop or notepad, that I would present a different positionality for myself within that space. I wanted to go in as an assistant, as someone that could help the student group and guide them on how to plan lessons for preschool age children. I also kept in mind that I'm also a parent in that room. My daughter, who is in the far left with the huge basket on her head, has been at the Huggins Center for some time now. And in being in this classroom, she is used to me going into that room, and so are her classmates. And so if I'm going to sit down and not participate, that would look odd. And so my initial observations involved actually interacting with the children and the student group and making sure that everyone understood that I'm first a parent, and I'm second a faculty, and third a researcher. My researcher role was always on, but a lot of my observations were sort of kept in my head, and after I left the room, I would take down some notes. I would jot, or I would write down actually some memos where I was analyzing my observations and remembering some of those important activities and practices that were taking place throughout the day. On the final day of the project, the student group and the young children participated in a about 30-minute festival where they paraded the puppets and the baskets, and the entire center observed the children dance to music from Oaxaca. There were many people in attendance. There were community members, families, parents. It was a true community type of activity. In observing this activity, I noticed many participants. Some of the children who you see in the back were also actively participating by not only observing, but they were actually participating in the parade. And often you would see them parading with the other children who wore the red dresses and who were carrying baskets. And so, in thinking about my field notes, I was often adding a lot of other participants in my observations. And as a ethnographer and as a participant observer, I was kind of balancing a lot of hats as I was observing this take place. In your research sites, you're probably making a lot of decisions as researchers. What you focus on, who you focus on, who do you pay more attention to, what are the scenes that you're recreating, who are the characters involved, how are you selecting certain events over others, even how you write out your field notes make an impact on the type of data that you collect. And so, as you continue to explore these issues of field noting, and now when we think about memoing, I want you to always keep in mind your role also as a researcher and try to keep an objective mind. Bracketing, I think, is a very useful tool if you find yourself having to distinguish your observations from your maybe assumptions or assertions, and thinking about now in your observations when you're field noting to provide an in-process memo as an analysis as you're taking these field notes. I always think that as researchers, we're constantly analyzing, and as you collect data, you're coming up with an analysis as you're observing this whatever particular event. But keep that in mind. I hope that we can continue these discussions, and if you have any questions, please email me. As I mentioned, these last two modules I'd like you to go ahead and move closer to finishing module 4 by Monday. But I understand that things happen, and so I'm basically closing the last two modules by the end of next week. I will provide more feedback to your reflections tomorrow, which is Wednesday, the 31st, and hopefully we can get you moving along to more descriptive and memos where you can provide more analysis. Again, this is sort of a course where you're just kind of scratching the surface of ethnographic field notes, and I hope that so far you've received a good taste of the possibilities in qualitative research, and I look forward to reading the rest of your work.